If you're going to buy reptiles, you need to buy Reptile Enclosures. There's a ton of variety, a ton of brands, and I've tried almost all of them. So today, I'm gonna give you my honest take, which are good, which are bad, and which are, yeah. Today we're talking about the best enclosures for reptiles. My name's Adam, this is Diamond. You're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Stick around. Before we begin, this video is not sponsored by any PVC or glass enclosure company at all. It's sponsored by CuriosityStream. Thanks, guys. CuriosityStream has nothing to do with enclosures at all. They just have really cool streaming programs for documentaries and all sorts of stuff. We'll get to that later. But in terms of enclosures, this is my honest take. No paid opinions whatsoever. No company even knows I'm making this. I imagine they're gonna know after the video, but anyway. Let's get into it. So we're gonna cover two categories. Quickly, we're gonna cover glass front opening enclosures because there's really only two companies that I've tried. And then we're gonna talk about PVC enclosures because that's what you see in the background here. Lots of them. And I'm gonna grade them on quality, price, and customer service. And a caveat here, if there are some, like for example, Boafile I know is a really big brand for PVC enclosures. I'm not gonna cover them because I've never seen one, never touched one, never used one. All of these enclosures are things that I've actually used. So glass enclosures first. There's two main examples. There are Exo Terra and there's Zoomed, which I think are owned by the same parent company. Regardless, I'm not affiliated with either one of them. No affiliate program, not sponsored. I reached out to both. Yeah, so. Emotional damage. This is my honest take. Zoomed, I think, are great because they have one door, generally, right? And I know Exo Terra has a new line where they have one door, but the old school ones and all the Exo Terras that I have are secondhand that I've bought from people who have bought them new and now they're used because I have them. So generally, Exo Terra 2 doors, Zoomed 1 door. I like the 1 door because it's an uninterrupted view. But I also like the 2 doors because if you have kind of a flighty animal, then it gives you an option to open only half of the enclosure, not the entire thing, and it gives less chance for that animal to escape. And then now, Exo Terra ruined this whole thing, not really, but what they did is they actually have an enclosure line that has 1 door. That's their Frogs & Co. line. Again, I've never been able to actually try these, so I can't tell you. They look cool because they have a drain on the bottom, which in a kind of a glass top enclosure, so they'd be great for high humidity, but I haven't been able to get my hands on one. So this one's a toss-up because I think they're both made very well. I mean, the screen tops are gonna break on either one of them. It's just something that happens with wear, but this isn't the fault of the manufacturer. It's just if you put a light on top of it or just with time, you might have to replace the screen tops. But you can, they're replaceable, it's no big deal. And generally they last a long time. You might need to reseal them. Don't bite my ear. And that's fine. I have some Exo Terras that I bought that maybe had a crack in them from the previous owner, or just the sealing around needed to be resealed, but caulking is like what, $3 a tube? Easy peasy, no big deal. I would say both of them are good in terms of quality. In terms of price, they're basically the same, and I can't grade them on customer service because the only dealings I've had with them are reaching out for sponsorship and them saying no, so. I'm sure they're great. Now let's get to the nitty gritty, the ones I have pretty strong opinions on, PVC enclosures. I want to start with a good one. Custom Reptile Habitats. Now, I have no affiliation with them, no affiliate code, no sponsorship, nothing. But this company did sponsor the enclosure build-off with Snake Discovery last year that I was part of. Very thankful to be part of it. Thanks again, Snake Discovery, and thanks for Custom Reptile Habitats for sponsoring it. So I did use one of these enclosures, and they're a little bit different than most enclosures because most PVC enclosures are a box. Sides, back, top and bottom, front glass. That's it. But what Custom Reptile Habitats does is they have a screen top, a very thick, very good quality screen top, so you can put the lights on top. Now, I didn't like this at first because I like my PVC enclosures to be a box that is self-contained with the lights inside. But what Custom Reptile Habitats does is they make kind of a separate unit that can go over top so it kind of covers it. It's actually really genius. It gives you more height, so your 2-foot enclosure is actually 2 feet of usable area. The light isn't infringing on 6 inches of it. So I think they do this really well. And the actual enclosure itself is great. Very well made, looks easy to put together. I kind of had to deassemble one at the build off, and to put it back together, it looks really simple to put together. My only gripe with the design is the center pillar is black, so you can't see through it, where we're gonna get the cages in a minute. It actually has a clear plexiglass center pillar, so it doesn't obstruct your view. In terms of price, they're pretty average. I mean, in terms of PVC enclosures, I think you get what you pay for with a lot of these. That's gonna be a running theme. As far as customer service, I've never actually bought one. I've only been able to use and outfit one of someone else's collection, but I have talked to the owner. Super good guy. Like, I can't say a bad thing about custom reptile habitats. They're great. Before we get to the next one, a special thank you to CuriosityStream for sponsoring today's video. This is the platform that I watch videos on. If I want to learn something without all the extra fluff, all the facts, without punching it up for entertainment, CuriosityStream is the entertainment platform to go to. It features 35 collections of curated programming picked by their experts. If you want to watch documentaries, if you want to watch informational shows about nature, architecture, if you want to watch shows about animals, this is where you want to go. They've got award-winning exclusives and original. So if you want to watch something that was released this week or this year, or you want to watch a blast from the past, they got you covered. This is the platform that rekindled my love for 90s programming about animals, and I've watched every episode of Jack Hanna that's now available on this platform. And then when I finish the old programs, I go to the new exclusive ones like Doug to the Rescue, a show about a guy who launches a drone into the air where there's a whole bunch of fires or natural disasters, finds animals, and then goes and rescues them. It's a feel-good story about animals and drones, two of my favorite things. Staying true to the actual stories without fictionalization or sensationalization, and that's why I love CuriosityStream. Oh, and by the way, if you use code WWReptiles, the entire year is $14.99. $14.99 for an entire year of CuriosityStream if you use the link below and the code. Thanks, CuriosityStream. Let's get back to the list. Next up, let's talk about Kages Custom Enclosures. That is the enclosure that Diamond lives in. Now, full disclosure, I do have an affiliate deal with them, so if you use my code in the description below and the link, I do get a small percentage if you buy one, but they're not paying for this. They have no idea I'm even doing this video. Surprise, Kages. Thanks for your support over the years. The reason that I chose Kages and I still choose Kages is, like, spoiler for the rest of the video, I kind of think they're the best, just in my own personal opinion and my own experience. And I want to say thanks to Kages because although I am not being paid for this video, they did send me an enclosure to use. So even though they didn't know I'm making the video, they just sent one just because I've been an affiliate with them for 2 years. And here's why I think they're the best. In terms of quality, when you take the panels, right? Because everything is shipped flat, most of them, right? They're shipped in a flat box and then you assemble the panels. They feel different than all the others. They just feel much more sturdy. Like, you know when you touch something and you can tell that it's a quality material? Kages knocks it out of the park. I don't know what they use different for their expanded PVC boards. They're just better. Easy to put together. They have receiving holes, and I'll talk about why this is a big deal to me, in the enclosure. So when you line up the two pieces, it lines up perfectly. You don't have to drill all willy-nilly and hope that it fits perfectly. The construction is just so perfect and they go together perfectly every single time. Also, the venting in this enclosure is just better than all the other enclosures that I've ever tried. And I just think that is really important for airflow, especially if you're gonna use it for, I don't know, like a more humid enclosure, which the new one that I got is gonna be the monkey tail skink enclosure, which does get pretty humid. And it has a lip on the bottom that is big enough that you can put a drainage layer and make it a bioactive enclosure. I think we're going kind of long on these, we'll speed it up. In my opinion, Kages quality just cannot be beat. It's the best of anything I'm gonna talk about. Their price is more expensive than most of the other cage companies, but comparable, right? It's not like out of the park by any means, but you get what you pay for. It is that much better that I would buy them, like no question about it. And their customer service, top notch. Anytime I've ever messaged Zach for anything, instant replies, no questions asked, absolutely perfect. So in my opinion, 10 out of 10 around, the best company that there is out there that I have used in my opinion, and that's why I'm affiliated with them. I'm not affiliated with them because they chose me and now I promote their product. I promote their product because it's the best product. Next, Zen Habitats. Now this is one that I don't have in my personal collection, but I have helped people put these together before. Like people I actually know, been to their house, set them up, seen how they've been using, seen a 2-year comparison from new to how they are now. Now I'm gonna compare the PVCs because they have like kind of a particle board, bamboo type enclosure, and you can't compare them. They're cheaper for a reason. They don't hold up like PVC. So no knock on Zen, it's just the material's different. What are you gonna do? The PVC enclosures though, from what I've seen, are fantastic. They are decently priced, so we'll get to the price like immediately. They're priced pretty darn good, and the material feels very good as well. The material just feels a little bit thinner or a little bit more flimsy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you're building a box that's gonna be put somewhere and you're not gonna be moving it around all that much. And even if you do, like moving it in a moving truck if you move houses, it's not gonna break. So in my opinion, the materials are really good. The lip is big enough that you can make a bioactive. All of them, you're gonna have to run a bead of silicone around anyway, so I think that they're pretty good. The next one is a company out of Canada, Cornell's World. Now, the big enclosures I have here, they measure 8 feet across, 4 feet deep, and 3 feet high. Those are Cornell's World. So in terms of the quality of the product, not bad. It's actually pretty good. Now, they're big sheets and the PVC isn't of the same quality as Kages in my opinion. So I don't know if it's just a different type, but again, by quality, I just mean it's a little bit flimsier, but again, who cares? Once you have everything together, it's not gonna matter because once everything's together, it's structurally sound. But with that said, my main gripe, and I don't know if this is with every enclosure, I've only purchased 2 from them, they don't have receiving holes. So what I'm saying here is when you get the PVC, you butt up one against the other. And there are holes drilled on the outside where the screws go. But into the butt of the panel, there's no receiving hole to line up with that hole. So you have to line it up perfectly yourself. And if your eyes are off, the construction is gonna be off. Now I put together that Kages enclosure literally a couple hours ago with my dad. So fast and easy. You don't have to line things up with your, like it's gonna grab into the receiving hole, and if you're not lined up properly, it's going to move it for you. So it lines up perfectly every time. With these enclosures, you run the risk if you go at an angle, it could come through the actual side panel. It might not line up perfectly, and I did have issues with that where it took a lot longer than other enclosures that I've built. Now with that said, they're also much larger enclosures. All the other ones that I'm comparing them with are 4x2x2s, and these are almost double the size, or actually more than double the size. And just another small gripe with them is the 8-foot panels, the 8-foot enclosures. If you buy one from Kages, it's an unobstructed view. These ones, you're building 2 4-foot enclosures and then kind of screwing them together using bolts to put them together. I don't think it looks as nice as other enclosures, but I do think it'd probably be a lot more structurally sound. So it just depends what you're after. And again, this is my opinion only. When everyone walks in my reptile room, they look at them and it looks like 2 different enclosures to them rather than one. Where if you look at, I think Emily and Ed on Snake Discovery did a video about their Kages enclosures, which are 8 feet long, and it looks like one enclosure. They're just more aesthetically pleasing. With that said, if you live in Canada and it's not an option to travel across the border to go get someone else's enclosure, or you just want to support Canadian, which I totally understand, then Kages is a good company. They're not bad enclosures by any means. I'm not saying that. It's just that Kages set the bar so freaking high. That is the only reason I have gripes with these enclosures in the first place. But one thing I will say about Cornell's World is you can take the glass in and out without disassembling the enclosure. So there is a point for Cornell's World. Customer service, also good. Every time I message, I get an answer right away. And the last one, pvccages.ca. Now these guys I think do ship to the States, but they're based out of Toronto. Most of these enclosures are made by this company, and there's one main reason. The price is better by so much compared to everybody else. They are so much cheaper, but you get what you pay for. With that said, they're not crap enclosures by any means. I'm not saying that. They're just flimsier. They don't have all the same features. It's a hinge door instead of a sliding door. They're not as good of an enclosure, but at the end of the day, a Honda Civic isn't as good as a Lamborghini, but it still gets you from point A to point B just fine. And these things, they work just fine. They're light, they're very easy to clean, they're very easy to move around. They're great enclosures. My issue comes when I don't think it would be safe to put a halogen light in them because it is such thin material. It is, I don't have a caliper, but I would say 1/4 of the thickness of all the other enclosures that we talked about. And it's a molded enclosure. So they don't ship flat, and because you can't. Like they're so thin that you couldn't put a screw into the side of them in the first place. And when you put a screw into the top of them to put in a radiant heat panel, it'll come out every single time. There are no screws that would be short enough because it is such thin material. But again, they stack well, they're super light, they work. They have a very shallow lip, which is a problem because if you want a deep substrate layer, these are not the enclosures for you. I would guess 2 or 3 inches is all the lip is. Well, I don't know, can you see? Like where my hand is? Where can you? But in terms of price, they're less than half the price of everything else. And that's why I have so many of them. Well, first of all, they're plentiful in Canada because it's a company right out of Toronto or Mississauga that makes them, which is an hour away from me. So they're easy to find used. They're just cheaper. They're easier to find than basically everything else. And that's why I've got so many of them. Now, in terms of customer service, this is where they fall off a ledge compared to everybody else. And this is my own personal gripe. I bought one new. I've only bought one new ever. All the other ones I bought secondhand, which is a testament to how long they last. Sure, they warp, but they still work. Now, I bought one that is an 8-foot enclosure. The 8-foot enclosure is 8 foot by 2 foot deep by 16 inches tall. These come in 2 sections, 2 4-foot sections that you can put together, or they give you a PVC kind of panel that you can put on the sides to make them into 2 4-foot enclosures. This is awesome. I love this design actually. The problem is when you butt them together, there's a little lip that has nothing to cover it like the Cornell's World ones does. They actually do have a solution for this because they have a PVC panel that goes over top in kind of like a V shape that prevents the substrate from going in between the 2 segments that you join together. PVC Kages doesn't have that. To me, this is a tremendous oversight. It is a problem. Stuff gets in there. If your snake poops in there, it is just a nightmare. It is a simple and cheap and easy fix. It boggles my mind that they do not fix this. The other thing with customer service is when I bought these, I literally left a Reptile Expo, drove across town to go get them, put them in my truck, drove them home. I noticed that the PVC panels were missing and all the hardware was missing. So I had to put it together with zip ties. And upon telling the customer service agent this, let's just say that any other time, if I have an issue with a product, there's no questioning or investigating. This, they launched like a full investigation to like, I don't know, it felt weird and it didn't feel like a good process for sure. You want to feel like a valued customer, and I didn't feel that way when dealing with this company. So this isn't a hit piece on them. Maybe this was an off day, or maybe it's not smart to even say this, but at the end of the day, I value you as a viewer. If I give you advice, if I give you information, it's going to be the whole truth without anything hidden. And something like that, in my opinion, would be important in the buying process, and I would appreciate it if someone told me that about their experience. So this isn't a hit piece on PVC Kages. They make great products, but just make sure you leave with all the parts if you go pick it up, because it'll be a while until you get the parts back. So there you go, a little bit of a longer one. I hope that you enjoyed it. In my opinion, if you're going to get one, Kages, there's a link below. Custom Reptile Habitats make some good ones too. But if you want to use the guys that I think are the best and you value my opinion that way, Kages, there's a link in the description. And if you use the discount code, you get $20 off your order, or free door handles, or whatever the promotion is. Either way, there's an incentive for you to use it. One last thing though, that Kages did send me. I'm not even sure if this is gonna make the video. I have to ask if they're promoting these yet or not. They also sent me a really cool calendar. So you use a dry erase marker on it. Basically, it's made of acrylic or PVC. I don't really know actually. It's etched on the back, and then it looks like this. Now there's the backing paper, protective paper, so it would be totally clear. So it'd be the color of whatever the wall is behind it. Really cool mounting mechanism. I'll talk about it more in a different video. I don't think they're for sale yet, but I just want to say thanks to Kages for sending me the enclosure, which I didn't even know was coming. You guys are freaking awesome. And this is cool. I'm going to use this. It's going to help me keep track of feedings and everything else. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting like and subscribe. The Patreon supporters, you guys are freaking amazing. If you want to join the Patreon club for as little as $1 a month, I still have some secret animals I haven't talked about, only Patreon knows about. You get extra videos, extra content, videos early, discounts on the merch, all sorts of stuff for as little as $1 a month. And that's it. Because I do videos twice a week. That means I'll see you next week, or Monday or Thursday, whatever day it is. I'll see you in the next one.